Spacey Sims, and we are back with more London Detective Mysteria, and the music is like really freaking out in this part. I don't know if it is for you, but it is for me. Like, holy shit! Like, what the? Really gung ho right now. Wow. Okay. Anyway, so we were just at Holmes and Watson's apartment, and we met Hudson, Abigail Hudson. Well, we don't know her name. We know her name is Hudson, but anyway. We made ourselves comfortable as Hudson prepared some tea. Here you are! I don't remember the voice I gave her literally in the last part, which is literally yesterday, but whatever. Oh, thank you. And for you, Miss Murple. Thank you. There. Ah! Put it down with more care. Gently now. We both know you'll spill a load of it once you start drinking. All right, then. I ought to introduce myself. I'm the landlady here, Abigail Hudson. Yes, we've heard a lot about you. You cook all these meals here, yes? Mm-hmm. I make every single one for every single tenant. I'm no one to boast, but everyone loves them. That's what you call boasting. And not only do I do the cooking out of the goodness of my heart, I do all the washing and cleaning for some hopeless tenants who cannot manage it themselves. How would you look at that? I have one shining example right here. He's the one wearing a hat. She pointed at Watson so directly that a shockwave might have flown from it. Neither he nor Holmes do any housework at all. It's unbelievable. Ugh. Must you tell her that? We already know jellyfish hair. I only speak the truth. You don't get to deny it. It boggles the brain how two grown men living under one roof can't learn the first thing about washing or cleaning or... I'd say it shows how capable you are, even when you look so young. Those aren't things simply anyone can do. She's like, I sure as fuck can. Well, I was entrusted with these flats by my aunt, so I want them to be spick and span at all times. She thrust out her chest with pride. She's reading it in her voice. Don't forget, you had something very important you wanted to discuss with them, didn't you? Yes, you're right. Very important. Her smile vanished and was instantly replaced by a grave frown. Tell us everything. Listen, something dreadful happened last night. Hudson had a way of jumping from one expression to the next without losing an ounce of sincerity. She was growing increasingly emotional as she explained her predicament. When I returned home at 9, I found my room in a disastrous state. I know I locked the door when I went out, too. Around what time did you leave home? 6 at night. A relative of mine was visiting London, so we went to eat at a place belonging to his friend. So the crime took place sometime between 6 and 9 in the evening. I was so frightened, I rang Scotland Yard immediately and had them investigate. Unfortunately, the master key for everyone's flats was in the safe, so all's well there. All's well there. No money was taken either. Now, one thing I haven't been able to find is a very important piece of tableware. It was part of my late grandmother's collection. They said they'll try looking into it, but the odds of finding it seem to be low. I mean, especially because it's a white motherfucking plate, and how many white motherfucking plates do you think there might white motherfucking plate be? I mean, seriously. Do you suspect it was stolen? Yes, and there was something else unusual about that night. The window had clearly been broken into, but the glass fragments that should have been there simply weren't. They were all gone. That is unusual. The window is made from ordinary glass, isn't it? It is, but I can't fathom who could have taken them. There was not a single fragment among the mess. For what reason would the culprit take broken glass with them? To hide the evidence. Or to fuck with you. I mean, you know what? Note to self, if you're ever going to murder someone, break the glass and take all the shards with you so nobody knows a thing and they're very confused. I had a discussion with someone at work once and we were talking about just how, because people mysteriously die or something and everyone's trying to solve the mysteries and what are these things that I just really want to, we were joking about leaving notes and things and just random notes make sure you find the key. Like, or just like random thing, like to seem important, like clues, like, oh my god, they were murdered for some weird mysterious thing, and like people will be like, they'll be going crazy trying to figure it out, like, what is this cipher? And it's actually fucking complete and utter gibberish, but you know, so it just makes it seem like your death is mysterious. You're like, she seemed to have died of natural causes, but it looks like foul play. Actually, if I died right now, people would seriously think my apartment had been ransacked. It's a hot fucking mess. There's just shit everywhere. Oh my god. I'm literally going through everything. I'm just literally, like, I took shit out of my storage unit outside, and I've got bin, and I'm like, just going through the... There's so much shit, I don't have any place to, like... My floor is pretty much, like, non-existent right now, and it's just... It's a hot motherfucking mess. But hey, you know, in a year, when I'm done, it'll look great. Or like 5. I don't know. It's going to drive me crazy. I went through like 4 bins today. I was good. Anyway. But yeah, no, I'm going to make sure I leave mysterious things around so people think my death was a mystery when it wasn't. Be great. 50 years after my death. It's been 84 years. No, not 50 years. 84 years after my death. It'll be 84 years! And we still can't figure out the mystery. It'll be on like some fucking like crime show. It'll be great. It'll literally, and then finally someone will find this video and be like, God damn it! She pulled the wool over our eyes! It'll be fun. Anyway. Oh, on the subject of the glass. Watson piped in as if he'd been thinking long and hard about something. That may be missing, but the culprit left something else in instead. Blood. I suspect they were injured by the shards. There's evidence they made to wipe this blood off the floor as well, so perhaps it was all taken to reduce evidence. It's possible. They were potentially looking for someone with an injured arm or hand. Where the fuck is Holmes? Thank you, Marple. Marple and I were like on the same fucking wavelength here. Where's Holmes, by the way? I half expected the man would come barging in, salivating the second he smelt a case. Oh, then he most certainly would. Is he out for the day? He's in Edinburgh assisting with one of his dad's cases, and my dad's with him also. Well, that sounds like a right little family outing. Why didn't you join them? I didn't want to leave the office unmanned, so I asked Holmes if I could stay. Besides, I've had my fill of trips with the 4 of us when we were children. Watson's lips curled into a bitter smile at the corners. Oh, poor baby Watson. His hair is crazy. Like, they always have to give someone jellyfish hair, and I just don't understand it. Why? What's with the jellyfish hair? Like, I just... Like, it's like literally, and I guarantee you the back of his head still has this haircut. Like, it's this short all the way around, and then they just have, like, it's like a mullet, and I don't understand why Japan's obsessed with the mullet. It's terrifying. Anyway, did we read Abigail's little thing? The last part? I don't remember. We did not. We did not read her profile. We'll read it in a second. I'd really appreciate it if the 2 of you were to lend me a hand. Certainly. Can you tell us more about the item that was stolen, Hudson? Did I? Hold on. Okay, wait. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a line. Okay. That's why I'm all on my own. And I'm sure you agree that this might be a bit much to handle without any additional help. So then he said, I really appreciate it if the 2 of you were to lend me a hand. Okay. Sorry. I clicked after I read it. I'm like, I think I didn't read that line. I'm not all together today. Sorry. Certainly. Can you tell us more about the item that was stolen, Hudson? Plenty. It's a regal Dalton plate, for one thing. A quaint old one, too, with a well-loved floral and fruit design. I don't know, it looked like a white plate to me. It's in such pristine condition, even Mum says she's rarely seen tableware with colors as pretty. Oh, which item has more value? The stolen plate or that cup and saucer with the flowers and lemons? Marple indicated in the direction of another item in Hudson's collection. The plate, of course. And not to devalue them, but the cup and saucer are both false. Look at the mark on the back. I gently turned the saucer upside down. It was a symbol of a lion standing atop a crown, but instinct grabbed me whilst I observed it. Something wasn't right about this. I turned over another nearby piece of tableware and confirmed my suspicions. There was a striking difference between the 2 designs. one has two tails on the lion?
See, they aren't quite the same as this one here. I don't mind it, though. It might not be the real thing, but my mom gave it to me and my grandmother used to drink from it, so it's real enough to me. I can't rest easy if I don't have it, so I always keep it with me.
She, like, literally fucking carries around a cup and a saucer? Like, damn. Bitch is legit. Like, I mean, you're like, I got, like, a tape measure and a screwdriver and Band-Aids and, like, feminine hygiene products and dental floss. And, okay, I don't have a screwdriver in my purse, but I do actually have a tiny little purse tape measure. I finally found it. It's just how you go through your shit. You're like, ah, my tape measure that goes in my purse. But, like, she's, like, fucking hardcore. She got to fuck. Nah! Hold on. We're having tea. Got my fucking teacup, bitch. And the saucer, too. Like, the fuck? Did she, like, wrap it in butt? Like, how? Okay, I don't. Alright. Hudson. She was right that the marks on the cup and saucer were different to that on the rest of her collection. But this was not the end of my suspicions. Marple, am I correct in thinking that the lion was only meant to have one tail?
You are, but this one has two. In fact, everything except the tea set depicts a lion with two tails.
Hudson, may I ask a question about this cup? Actually, I'd like to ask you something myself first. Watson quickly led me and Marple outside for some privacy. Is something wrong? Well, you see...
Something doesn't add up. She's telling us that the stolen plate is genuine.
I can't help but think... I know it's been bothering me. The stolen plate is false because the cup and saucer are real, right? The plate that was stolen is actually a counterfeit. It's the cup and saucer that are genuine Regal Daltons. Because the lemon saucer had one lion and the other thing had two tails. And then she just said it's only meant to have one, but I'm like, but the lemon and plate had one. Wait, what? So. That's right. But she's been convinced otherwise ever since she was a child. She doesn't have a clue.
Interesting that the culprit chose to steal the plate in this case.
I have an idea who the thief could be then. Who could have stolen the plate? Someone close to Hudson. Because a burglar interested in antiques wouldn't choose... It had to be someone close to her. A burglar interested in antiques would have stolen the legit cup and plate, not that. And that's why they chose to steal something important to her over something of monetary value.
That's how I see it. A burglar would have targeted something they could sell.
I feel so fucking smart. Like, because I'm figuring this out. And not being like, I don't know! But that begs the question, why steal at all? Why steal it at all? If we stayed outside for much longer, Hudson would grow suspicious, so we decided to go back inside. And upon our return, as if it only had just come to her, Marple suddenly began to share an old tale.
I'm reminded of a similar story from my grandmother. The case of the Benjamin family, if you've ever heard of it.
Oh, do tell.
It happened in her home village of St. Mary Mead. The Benjamin family ran the only shop in the village. If it was there, then what does that have to do with here?
I'm sure she'll get to that. Just keep listening. Shut up, Hudson.
Oh, all right. Like this case, tableware had been stolen. It was the culprit who later claimed to have found it before promptly returning it safely to its owner, earning a considerable reward in the process.
Watson, what did you do?
So they set the whole thing up for a reward. And that's right. I wouldn't be able to tell the full tale if the truth hadn't come out at some point, of course. And they were later ostracized for their actions. The owner of the tableware was a kind soul, however, and they forgave the thief for their crime. Are you telling us all this because it might be what's happening to me?
It's one option, though it's still too early to say for certain. We can't yet dismiss that we might be dealing with an honest-to-goodness theft.
Wait! I've got a brilliant theory of my own. Will you hear it? By all means. The plate that was stolen was a Regal Dalton original, and one of the finest in the land.
She enthusiastically produced a newspaper and unfolded it over the table. Like he gives a fuck about your plate. Actually, you never know. But he wouldn't have cut himself. He's too good for that. Gentleman thief Lupin Jr. targets another British national treasure. Is being beautiful a crime? His list of stolen antiques says yes.
Isn't that an issue of the London Sport? You're aware of how infamous it is for the rubbish it publishes, I'm sure. I hope you weren't taking anything it says to heart. But look! This bit right here! He's even started setting his sights on the treasures lurking in ordinary British homes! Readers beware! This must be it!
Dear. Oh. Right. It pains me to say this after the work you've put in, Hudson, but I doubt Lupin Jr. is the culprit.
Agreed. I'd also recommend you stop reading that newspaper immediately. It's for your own good. But the plate is a national treasure! Why, if I were a gentleman thief, I wouldn't dare turn down a chance to steal it!
Perhaps, but he wouldn't make a mess of a young lady's room in the process. And that's simply not the way he does things. From what I've observed of his thefts, at any rate.
Well, there must be some explanation!
With no defense left for her claim, Hudson grew quiet. This conversation wasn't without its results, at least. We now knew that the best place to start our search would be with the people closest to her. Right, let's start our investigation. Would it be alright if we borrowed a list of the current tenants?
Of course! I only ask that you keep its contents private.
Not to worry, we will. Hudson went over to the shelf and pulled a handful of documents from it, which she then displayed for our perusal.
You want the current list, which is this one.
I don't know what's happening with her fucking voice. It's all over the goddamn map. I'm sorry. Thank you. Oh, well, what's that one over here? I was drawn not to the one she displayed most prominently, but to the second sheet, one that looked ever so slightly aged compared to the other.
This one, it's the previous tenants list. We used to have 2 more flats filled than we do now.
I see. Might we look at that one as well, as a precaution?
I don't see the harm in it. Mind you, I can't see it being relevant to your investigation.
No reason not to start with the current list as things stand, but better to be thorough.
Oh! Is it time to start questioning people? May I join in?
My, would it do for the landlady to leave the building unattended?
These are special circumstances, and that ring means you would never abandon someone in need, right?
Never ever! Leave the investigation to me.
And then logic dictates you'll need a capable assistant. Holmes has Watson, but you don't have anyone.
An assistant? What a thought. A fine thought, even. It would be wonderful to have someone like Watson helping me.
Yes, you need someone who's considerate, courageous. Someone who can make rational decisions when the time calls for it.
Truly, that does sound wonderful. But it would not be easy to find someone like that. Oh, dear God. I do not want her to be my assistant. She annoys me. No. 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 No.
It's a good thing you don't have to search then. From now on, I'm your assistant.
Oh, dear God, no. Hudson, you can't force her into it.
And why not? I'd give anything to solve this case together.
Maybe so, but you're the client in this case. And it's much too dangerous to be coming with us when we might come across the thief. And what if they were to come back when they see the flat is empty?
I'll leave nothing to fear, and not with you as the wall to shield us from danger.
A wall? Why not something more like a gallant knight? I wouldn't even settle for something resembling a human. You'll come to my defense, won't you, Spacey? I'd say we're ready as can be. Remember to arrive promptly tomorrow, Watson. We can't do this without you. Are you ignoring me? Okay. Before we skip on, let's read the little, oh my God, I gotta turn the volume down. It's like so fucking loud. Like, I don't know, the game's music is like really fucking, it doesn't seem that loud to you guys, but it's loud as shit to me. Anyway. Abigail Hudson's profile. The official loud and proud landlady of a series of flats along Baker Street, including Holmes Jr. and Watson Jr.'s shared flat. Her unusually young age in conjunction with her role may leave some skeptical, but their worries would be short-lived after meeting her. She takes all her duties seriously, happily cleaning, cooking meals, and handling the accounts for her tenants daily. She also treats them like family, particularly the boy detectives, to whom she feels an almost motherly affection towards. She admires those in the investigative field so much that she volunteers to become Lady Whitley's assistant, boasting her capabilities from the rooftops to ensure she is the one and only candidate for the position. Oh. 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 We're gonna get stuck with her. She already irritates me. like, I don't hate her, but she's kind of irritating. Anyway. We gathered in the office the very next day, each of us eager to begin our investigation. Today's the day. Now where shall we start?
Let's go through the list of tenants first. Then we can decide.
Hudson produced the list from her bag. If I had read her thing before, I wouldn't have given her as a voice that's annoying to do.
First, we have Mr. Curtis, who lives in the innermost room. He's a kindly old man who used to play with me a lot when I was a little girl.
Oh, like that, huh?
Of all the tenants here, he's lived here the longest.
Very good. Has anything been out of the ordinary with him lately?
With him? There is one thing. He's been a bit slow with paying his rent. Last month's and the month before that one, to be more specific. Thinking about it, I've yet to receive this month's, too.
So he's likely having financial problems. Oh, well, there you go. Likely suspect.
It's possible. Next, there's the avid traveler, Miss Blois.
Blois? 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 It's not Blois. I'm sure it's not Blois. It's like... whatever. Mrs. I assume it's French, and I don't know how to say that anyway.
She went on holiday to Italy a week ago and came back this morning.
If that's true, then she has a flawless alibi. But we still ought to see if she has anything to add whilst confirming her story.
My, you're an excellent detective, Spacey. Leaving no stone unturned.
Yeah, well, everything I know I learned from reading Sherlock Holmes novels. Odd as that is. Well, it isn't difficult to pretend that you've gone on holiday when you haven't. Even if she did, there's a chance she may have relevant information to pass along. Precisely. We'll see if she's got anything to say, and hopefully in the process see evidence of her travels.
Lastly, we have Miss Atlee. She's very talkative, that one. I hear her husband's abroad on work-related business. Has been for some time. She loves tea, making sweets, and collecting tableware. Whenever I see her, I always end up staying ages because we get caught up in conversation.
She collects tableware, you say? Does she know about your plate?
Yes, she does. And I know all about her collection as well, of course.
Well, now we know who will be visiting. Any thoughts on who we should visit first, Spacey? Let's visit Mr. Curtis. Doesn't really matter who we do. I think we should pay Mr. Curtis a visit. He must know Hudson the best of the three, for one thing. He's the first on the list, so... I've spoken to him a few times before myself. I can't say I feel very comfortable around him. Would you prefer to stay here whilst we go and speak with him? No, I'm coming. It wouldn't be right to send 3 ladies off without a gentleman to protect them. My pride as a man won't let me. I should hope not. We need our wall with us. Not that again, Marple. Wait for me. Wait! Wait! Wait for me. Hello? Is anyone home? I rapped at the door. It opened soon after I heard a series of gentle footsteps, revealing a stern-looking man with a furrowed brow. What business have you? I hope we aren't disrupting you, sir. My name is Spacey Whitley, and this is Sarah Marple. Good day. We're in the midst of investigating the burglary that took place at Mrs. Hudson's home 2 nights ago. We thought it might be best to begin by asking her neighbors. Hudson then emphatically popped from behind me.
Hello, Mr. Curtis. May we ask a few questions?
Oh, Miss Hudson, you're looking well. What is it that you'd like to ask? Wonderful. First, did you notice anything out of the ordinary 2 nights ago? I most certainly did. Around 7 o'clock I heard the sound of breaking glass not once, but twice. The first time was fairly gentle, but the second was much louder. And where were you at that time? I was in my room reading. I'm not as sprightly as I once was, so I've not been going out much of late. So you didn't go out at all that day? No. Oh, am I a suspect? I was alone that night, so I have no alibi. But I swear on my life I didn't steal a thing.
We know you didn't, Mr. Curtis. We're only trying to see what we can find out.
Have you noticed anything else strange recently? Strange? Let's see. There was when Mr. Howard came to visit you, Miss Hudson. Miss Hudson?
He did? When was that?
A week ago, I'd say. He mentioned that he had something he wanted to ask you.
Is awfully strange. I didn't hear from him at all last week.
He came to visit her, but left before speaking to you? I wonder what he wanted to ask her.
Well, if you remember anything else, please come and let me know. I'm desperate to get my plate back.
Oh, I will. You always used to talk about it. I know how precious it is to you. Ha ha ha! Well, here's the thing. So all of a sudden, right before they showed this, I was like, okay, he could be suspicious because he doesn't leave. He's saying someone showed up to ask her a question. He knows how precious the plate is to her. He might be having financial problems. And he has no idea it's a fake. The other lady, oh, she collects tableware, would know it's a motherfucking fake, wouldn't steal that shit. I'm sorry. Trying to be as inconspicuous as possible, I chanced a glance at Mr. Curtis's hands. 2 of the fingers on his right hand are wrapped in bandages. Well, thank you very much for your help. I extended my right hand to him, trying to act as natural as possible. Anything for Miss Hudson. I only wish I had more to say. He took my hand and shook it firmly. We then bid our farewells, but not before he used the same hand to give Hudson an affectionate pat on the head. He softened right up once he saw you, didn't he?
He did, see? I told you it was a good idea to have me as your assistant.
Have you ever shown the plate to him before, Hudson?
No, why?
Never mind. It was a random thought. So he doesn't know exactly what it looks like. Let's visit Miss Blois. Blois. We went to visit Miss Blois. Blois. It could be Blois, but that just sounds fucking awful. So I'm assuming her name. She is French. She is Miss Blois. We will give her a French accent. Your room was fabulous. How that must have given you a fright. I can't keep that up. I can't. It's so terrible. I'm so sorry. That's not all. One of her plates was stolen in the process. The regal Dalton plate, I take it? And a lovely one it was, too. Okay, I just really hope that you're just laughing your ass off at how fucking terrible that is and not, like, offended in any way by how terrible that is. We're just gonna keep going.
That's the one, but I'll get it back. I swear to it.
You really did boast about it to everyone who could stand to listen, didn't you?
True beauty needs to be seen by the masses. Mom always used to say the same when she was showing it off to me.
I thought for a second she was going to say when Mom was showing me off, and I was like, oh, there's something so wrong about that.
She would be beside herself if she knew it's been stolen.
I do hope you find it. Really, I do. Have you thought you consult Holmes about it? He lives in one of your flats, doesn't he?
I don't need to. I have the celebrated detective Spacey with me on the case. And better yet, I'm her assistant now.
My, aren't you one of Her Majesty's detectives? Miss Hudson won't have a thing to worry about with you here. You'll try everything you can, I hope. Absolutely. That said, would you mind if we confirm something? You came back from your holiday earlier today, right? Oh dear, am I a possible suspect? Not at all, ma'am. We're only asking around to see what we can learn. Very well. Hold on a moment. She then reached within her handbag for a boat ticket and showed it to us. Here's something if it helps. The outgoing journey was a week ago, as marked here, and I returned on the first vessel that left this morning. This has an official seal and everything. It's valid. May we ask you one more thing, then? Ask me anything you like. Have you noticed anything strange or out of the ordinary? Well, it's hard to say with having been away. The only thing that comes to mind is Miss Reston visiting right before I left. Was it, the day before? I don't know what's happening with her accent, but it's lost its French and it's become something weird. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. It's fucking hilarious, and I hope you're crying with laughter at how bad this is. I hadn't engaged her in any way. Only saw her from the window. Did she come to visit you, Miss Hudson?
She didn't, no.
Really? I assume she must have had business with you. I distinctly recall her standing in front of your flat. I see. Thank you for your help. I'm Glad to have been of service.
Wait,
Oh, wait, before you go, I brought some almond biscotti for you as a souvenir. By all means, share them with your friends. Please don't make me read her voice anymore.
how sweet! You really do spoil me. And these are meant to be dipped in coffee, aren't they?
Oh, it sounds so delicious.
I wonder if they'll taste any good with tea instead.
Oh, I am certain they will. We accepted her souvenir, and then after bidding her a fond farewell, we stepped out of the room. Let's visit Miss Atlee. Shall we go and pay the tableware collector, Miss Atlee, a visit? We arrived at her flat and were, with enthusiasm, hastily invited inside. I assume you're talking about that Regal Dalton plate, the one with the floral and fruit design. Oh, it was very elegant. I love that piece with all my heart. Just thinking about it makes me want to gaze upon it again. And yet it was stolen, you say?
It was. It had to be one of my most prized possessions.
She's not hiding how fond she is of it. She seems a bit too fond of it, if I'm honest. Well, I can certainly understand the thief's feelings. How I'd love to keep it all to myself. Or perhaps I can adopt you and obtain it that way.
You always say the most peculiar things.
Is it so peculiar? I dare say there are plenty who would trip over themselves to get their hands on a plate that's stunning. Like the gentleman thief Lupin, perhaps. Lupin? Coming here? What makes you think that?
Might you be an avid reader of the London Sport as well?
Oh, are we a fellow fan? Then you must have seen the article to which I'm referring.
I'm afraid I haven't, and though I see how you two became such good tea-drinking companions,
You think very much alike. I fucking love Marple. Let me just tell you. She's just like, oh my god, I'm so over this bullshit. Miss Atlee, forgive me for asking, but where were you the night before last? My parents came here to visit, so I was with them. Oh, we greeted a police officer out on the street, as it so happens. I'm certain they would vouch for my credibility. So they would? Would you mind if we asked one more thing? Not at all. What is it? Have you noticed anything unusual, aside from the fact that you seem to have snorted cocaine before we got here? Unusual? I may have. I placed it about a week ago. I ran into Mr. Howard in front of my flat.
Mr. Howard was here?
Did you not meet with him? He mentioned he had something he wanted to ask you.
No, I didn't. He's not contacted me otherwise for a meeting either.
So even though he wanted to meet, he came and went without doing just that? I wonder what he wanted to ask her. I was seriously... I'm not even kidding. I was seriously just thinking, like, it was her and the other guy together. Because, like, they both have the same... Okay, the other lady was gone. French lady was gone. Okay? But out of these two, they're both suspicious. Like, oh my god, but he came and he was going to ask you something. And then the other guy said the same thing. And I'm like, but he never showed up and he never actually asked her anything. But it sounds like they both came up with it. Like, they have the same story where you think, oh, it must be legit because they both saw him. Now that sounds shady as fuck. And then there's this, yeah. I took a cursory glance at Miss Atlee's hands. Her left hand is wrapped in a bandage. Thank you for answering so many questions, Miss Atlee. I attempted to extend my hand to her as naturally as possible. Thankfully, she extended her own without hesitation, shaking my hand with fervor. It was my pleasure. I only wish I could have helped more. You helped us more than enough. You have a lovely day, then. We bade her farewell before leaving. Lord, that was an experience. After leaving Miss Atlee's flat, we all found ourselves feeling particularly tired.
Indeed, she is an unusual one.
You're the last one who ought to call others unusual. Yeah, but Marple is fun, kind of unusual. She's like, oh my god, I'm going to stab someone. Shall we go over what we know so far? On the day of the crime, Hudson was out between 6 and 9. Mr. Curtis heard the sound of glass breaking around 7. He also claims he heard the sound of it breaking twice. The first time gently, the second time loudly. Oddly, whilst the room was left in disarray, the only things stolen were the plate and the broken glass from the window.
It struck me how everyone we interviewed knew about the plate. You must boast about it left and right. Well, I love it. I can't help it.
Still, Miss Blah was away on holiday, and Miss Atlee was with her parents, so they both have fairly solid alibis.
Mr. Curtis's age seems like it makes sneaking in through the window difficult.
Would you mind if we had some tea as we discuss, Hudson?
Right away.
Hudson sprang into motion and was off in a split second.
The hardest thing to work out here is the motive. What reason would any of them have to steal just the plate?
That really is the question. Incidentally, Miss Atlee is aware that it's a counterfeit. What? She is? Yes, she kept it from Hudson because she doesn't want to dampen her spirits. But she told me as much rather quietly when we were on the way out.
This is a conundrum, to be sure.
With all that we know in mind, there doesn't seem to be a single one amongst them who has the ability and motive to steal it. The sound of tiny footsteps and clanking china approached. It was Hudson carrying a pot of tea and several cups on a tray. Unless whoever the hell they were talking about, Mr. Howard or whatever. But why would it be Mr. Howard? We've never talked to him before. You know what I mean? That just sounds shady. Unless someone got into her apartment and broke the glass from the inside and the glass is outside.
Tea is served.
Thank you, Hudson.
You're very welcome.
And here's another part of the mystery. Why did the culprit need to break the glass twice?
That's true. An experienced burglar could have sneaked in through the door without making a sound or broken the glass in one strike.
Could they have lacked experience in burglary?
What else could it be?
Also, two names came up during our questioning, didn't they? Miss Reston and Mr. Howard?
We looked at the list Hudson had given us. Neither of those names are on this list from what I can see.
That's because they're former tenants. They're on this list, see?
Watson presented the previous list again, and as he said it, both names were on it. What sort of person is Mr. Howard?
He's a sweet man who's always been good to me. Back when he lived with his family, they would often invite me over for dinner and the like. He and his wife divorced around the same time he moved, sadly. As far as I'm aware, he now lives alone. He asked me a number of times before moving out of here to tell me her new address, but she'd requested I not say anything.
I'm sorry. It isn't as though I suspect him of anything.
It's all right. It's your duty as a detective to suspect everyone, and as your assistant, I want to help.
Do you think Mr. Howard broke in to try to get the name off the list and then, like, somebody else broke in for the plate? That seems like an overabundance. Or maybe that's why Mr. Howard was here, if he indeed did show up. He showed, and that's why he hasn't contacted Hudson. He's like, he came, she wasn't here, he's not going to ask. Like, I mean, thank you, Hudson. What about Miss Reston? What's she like?
Her? I don't know her very well. We never spoke much, and she was always appeared rather grumpy. Oh, and when I was talking to Miss Atlee about the plate once before, she'd mentioned Miss Reston expressed interest in it. One of her hobbies is making ceramics, apparently, so she was asking a lot of questions.
If that's so, she wouldn't be short of places to hide a plate.
Even asking about the plate is enough to arouse suspicion.
She's making counterfeits.
And then let's split up and question the two of them. Oh, we can get together once we're done. And don't stay out too late, all right? Right, we can meet in front of the school, since that's about the halfway point.
Don't go pressing them too much. If one of us is questioning the culprit and they realize we're onto them.
We'll be careful. Very, very careful.
But I want to go with Watson. Or Marple. I don't want to go with Hudson.
I'm sure you will. But make sure we're together before trying anything dangerous. Promise?
Promise. All right, let's go. I don't want to go with Hudson. I want Marple or Watson. Fuck, I'd take Lupin. Like the Lupine version. This is quite a trip. Miss Howard's home was situated on the outskirts of London and quite near to the East End. This wasn't known to be the safest area in London. The streets were plenty occupied by those with nowhere else to go. It's terribly gloomy here. Are you certain we're going the right way? Oh, great.
Very certain. In fact, we're almost there now. As soon as we're in his house, we'll be safe as can be.
We're in Mr. Howard's house. What did I say, Mrs. Howard? I don't know why. But I really feel like in the shadier area of town, we should have sent Watson. This would have been safer for him. It's just that I've never been to this area of London before. I've heard there were many poor and unemployed people here, but I never expected such a sight.
Oh, of course. You're a noble woman, aren't you? I should have considered that before dragging you all this way.
Please, you mustn't feel guilty. Let's take the safest route we can back, however, if you don't mind.
Agreed. Oh, look, Spacey. I think that's it.
With a bit more legwork, we managed to complete our journey through the maze of streets and arrive at our destination. A small flat that positioned itself just outside the edge of the city.
There's light on inside. Let's see if he'll let us in. Hello, Mr. Howard.
Hudson knocked on the door. It opened, and from within came an elderly gentleman with a soft air about him.
Well, if it isn't young Hudson, it's lovely to see you again.
That hurts my voice.
That's what I should be saying. It's been too long, hasn't it?
He gave a pleasant smile as he caressed her head. She, in turn, seemed happy for the attention.
Is this young lady a friend of yours?
He doesn't look that old. He looks like 40, but she's like elderly gentleman, I guess, to teenagers. 40-year-olds are elderly.
She is. And since we were passing by, I thought we might see how you were doing.
Well done, Hudson. I gave her a subtle nod in approval, which she returned with a witty wink of her own. And of course, all of them have injured hands. What are the fucking odds? The odds are not ever in any of their favors, is all I'm saying. That's another one with an injured hand. His right hand's dressed in a bandage. It's a pleasure to meet you. I held out my right hand to him, seeking a handshake. He didn't accept it. Rather, he simply pointed inside his home, kept at his soft smile. Interesting, that was weird.
Would you like to come inside? I should think it easier for us to talk in there.
Thank you, sir. My handshake rejected, I lowered my hand back to my side. Did he not realize what I wanted? He definitely noticed me put my hand down. It's only natural to shake another's hand in those circumstances. I saw his eyes look in the direction of my hand. Of that I was certain. Perhaps.
I really am happy that you took the time to come and visit, Hudson. It's afternoon tea time, so how about we enjoy a chat and a cuppa?
How have things been for you since you moved? I was so surprised when you came to say you were leaving all of a sudden.
I suppose I did spring it on you, didn't I? You're still young. I didn't intend to cause you undue worry.
I'm a grown lady now, you know. It will take a lot of surprise or unduly worry me.
Wait. A lot to surprise. Oh.
It will take a lot to surprise or unduly worry me. Besides, I did tell you that you could always come to me if you needed help.
Well, I suppose you did. Things were a challenge after losing my job, but looking back on it now, all I can do is laugh. Living on your own is oddly freeing.
It really is. Again, Mr. Howard affectionately patted Hudson's head with his left hand as he spoke, and she was more than pleased to indulge. Are you no longer wed? There was an underlying sense of timidness to my question. I hadn't known if it was even an appropriate question to ask.
Ha! I am. I lost my job, amassed a mountain of debt, and after a point, my wife had enough of me and demanded we go our separate ways. I have yet to see her or my daughter since.
His smile grew less genuine.
You were both so kind to me.
It's truly a shame.
All right, that's enough about me. Would I be correct in assuming this was no sudden visit?
I chose the words in my response carefully. I would literally just be like, oh, no, we heard from other tenants that you came to visit. Yes, sir, we came because we have something to ask. In truth, Hudson has been robbed. A piece of tableware she was especially fond of has been stolen.
That's terrible. You weren't hurt, were you?
None the worse for wear, thank you.
I'm pleased to hear it. Could it be that piece you've shown me before?
You know of it?
I do. The floral and fruit design plate, yes? The Regal Dalton one.
Do you think like all of them were involved? Like it was everybody?
That's right. You remembered.
Very suddenly, it grew dark outside. We could hear the rumbling of thunder in the distance.
Oh, look at that. The fog is rolling in.
The sun had been shining brilliantly till not long before, but looking out the window it was now hidden behind the clouds, and a light fog permeated the air.
Perhaps it would be best for you to get going before it gets any thicker.
I did so want to press him for information, but Watson and Marple will worry if we stay out much longer.
Miss Whitley, is something on your mind?
Not at all. Drat, I stammered. Hudson watched me with curious eyes while sitting next to me, but I could do little more than return it with a weak grin of reassurance before averting my own. No, we shan't press this any further. We promised Watson. I do insist that it's nothing, and since we've some business to attend to elsewhere, we should be leaving now.
Thank you very much for the tea, Mr. Howard. It was delicious.
I'm happy to hear that. Have a safe journey back.
After he saw us off, we began making our way to the meeting point. We hurried as fast as we could through the fog-shrouded streets. We spent more time out than we intended to. The two of us tried to make up for lost time by pulling up our skirts and rushing to the school.
Over here!
You took so long coming back that we decided to come and meet you. We did suspect this might happen, admittedly.
Watson! Marple! I don't know how you managed to find us. We quickly bumped into the very two people we were hoping to see.
We owe that one to Marple. She memorized Mr. Howard's new address.
I do apologize for worrying you so.
But we managed a nice chat with him. How was your visit?
Yes, well, she's moved out already, I'm afraid. And we don't know her new address.
We did have the good fortune of finding someone who helped her move. And they were helping her move things at the exact time we believe the crime took place, 7 o'clock.
And there are eyewitnesses who can attest to that fact. I think we can assume she isn't the culprit.
All in all, we were able to question the 3 current tenants and Mr. Howard.
After Hudson spoke, Marple addressed me in a whisper.
I'll not mince words, Spacey. Who do you think did it?
The most suspicious person is... Mr. Well, Miss... I believe it may have been Mr. Curtis. He has no alibi, and he lives in the same building as Hudson, making it particularly easy for him to sneak in.
And that's all true, but I think you're forgetting some things.
Okay, so that wasn't the right answer. But the thing is like, it's not Mrs. Blua. She was gone, so I guess I should have answered someone else, but I was like, I think it was all 3 of them. I'm like, all 3 of them are guilty. I don't know. I really don't know. I am?
Yes. There isn't any clear evidence he's guilty of anything, and nor is there any clear motive for him to have stolen it. It's all speculation. And if he were the culprit, would he not have taken the time to prepare an alibi instead of saying he doesn't have one?
I suppose you're right. Oh, look, that's like, oh, we lose. I don't know if that's the most suspicious person. Okay, so it's someone else. Oh. Okay, that's what we should have done. Okay. What if we did someone else? Okay, we go. Okay. It's not Mrs. Blua. So, I mean, Mr. Howard, maybe it's Mr. Howard then, because they both saw him and I'm going to go with this then. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I believe it may have been Mr. Howard. He appeared anxious when we brought up the subject of Hudson's tableware. Ah, so that was right. Okay. And he refused to shake my hand. Okay, yeah.
Come to think of it, and during the case of the Benjamin family, the thief hadn't committed the theft because they were in need. They were someone the family knew and trusted. Their motives were less related to money and more because they wanted the family to owe them a debt.
So you suppose this case mirrors that one then? That our thief stole Hudson's place to put her in their debt?
Watson managed to enter the conversation without Hudson noticing.
I'm thinking so, yes. Do you happen to see a pattern during our questioning? Everyone we met was delighted to see her, and they all thought very well of her.
Watson, might I ask you a favor?
What is it?
When we're finished here, will you come with me somewhere? And Marple, can you see Hudson back to Baker Street?
Well, of course, but what for?
I take it you have something in mind, Spacey.
I do. Would you?
All right, leave her to me.
With Watson at my side, I returned to Mr. Howard's home.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to see you again so soon.
Hello again, sir. I have something important that I should like to discuss with you. If Hudson means anything to you, and you must know what I mean, I'm hoping you'll listen to me. He fell silent for a moment before slowly opening the door.
Come inside. It's been some time, Mr. Howard. It certainly has. Are you here for Hudson's sake as well? Yes, I am. I'm sorry for how sudden this must be for you.
We were shown inside. The room felt eerily still, but we both faced Mr. Howard squarely. He wants his wife's address, so... I found the plate! Oh, you'll give me my wife's address. You were the one who stole the plate, weren't you, Mr. Howard?
What makes you think that? We spoke with all of Hudson's current tenants, and 2 of them say they noticed you near the flats a week ago. They also claim that you wanted to speak with her.
And then pointed directly at his right hand. You need that bandage because you hurt your hand when you broke the window of her flat, didn't you? The cut was deeper than you expected, deep enough to result in blood on the floor. Deep enough that you wanted to take all the bloody pieces of glass away from the scene.
You did your best to clean the blood off the floor, but there was still a little left that you mustn't have noticed, likely because it was dark. It may take time, but they've recently begun to use fingerprints as evidence in crimes, and there were some in the blood. That's enough.
Mr. Howard interrupted him. He wore a face of deep loneliness.
If you've worked out that much, I see no reason to hide the truth anymore. I'll tell you everything.
His sigh was both heavy and depressed. He then began to tell his story, and as he spoke, he seemed to accept his fate. We solve like a crime a day, that's all I'm saying.
As I'd mentioned to the ladies earlier...
Actually, no, that's true. It's been several days, but okay.
I haven't been in contact with my wife ever since she left me. When she left the flat, she took my daughter with her. I found out that they gave the new address to Hudson, so I wanted her to share that information with me. But she's very dutiful and responsible for someone her age, and no matter how many times I asked, she wouldn't share it with me.
She's been right not to.
That she has. That was what led me to try and put her into my debt, enough so that she would be willing to tell me what I wanted to know in exchange. All it would take would be for me to be the one who found her most prized Regal Dalton plate. Surely she would help me then. But when the time finally came to do it, I turned out to be more of a coward than I thought. One strike wasn't enough to break the window. I began to panic, thinking someone might hear the sound and come rushing over. I looked around desperately for the plate. As I did, I began to feel terrible for what I was doing, and memories of the past came rushing back. Of the days when you still live with your wife and daughter?
Oh, is he crying as he's stealing the plate? That's so sad. Like, the little ghost shadow is crying, and it's sad and really fucking creepy. It's, like, really fucking creepy.
That's right. I saw the tableware in her home, and then, quite suddenly, I was filled with a longing for days long gone.
You should have just searched for the address and then left.
It was only then I noticed my hand had been cut from the broken shards and was bleeding.
He instinctively touched his right hand with his left.
I worked to quickly clean the blood that had dripped onto the floor. Fortunately, that didn't prove difficult. Yet to clear the blood and prints from the shards proved impossible. With time running short, I pocketed each piece I could find, though it does appear I wasn't as thorough with cleaning as I hoped. I found the plate I was looking for and escaped through the window, but I'm not certain I could have felt any worse about it.
Then after all that, Hudson came to visit you today.
Indeed, I couldn't believe my eyes. All I could think was that either she had worked out what I had done, or God was punishing me for my actions. She was still the same as she ever was, smiling innocently till the moment she left. All I could do was cower in fear of when my crime would come to light.
He shook his head in a way that showed his anguish was too heavy for him to bear.
The cut I made when I tried to break in. It still bleeds, and it hurts when I put too much pressure on it.
That's why you wouldn't shake my hand earlier.
You really did have it all worked out, didn't you? I never suspected we would meet again in these circumstances, Mr. Howard.
He looks so sad. Oh, look at little Watson's sad face.
Bringing Watson with you was a wise choice, young lady.
I suppose it was.
I can't kill him, but I could have killed you and Hudson, or you and your other friend.
I felt a sharp chill run down my spine at the thought of what may have happened had I come alone.
Well, do as you wish. Hand me over to the police if that's what you want to do. Or will you call Holmes?
I'm not not going to do either of those things, but instead... The next day, Baker Street was filled with the energy of Hudson's voice.
Oh, thank goodness! Miracles do happen!
I forgot this game doesn't, pop the things up. Clutched in Hudson's hands was her beloved plate.
I went to bring the morning paper, and there it was at the front door, all wrapped in a box with a ribbon, if you can believe it. Some virtuous hero must have found it and returned it to me. I see Lupin's found himself a rival.
That's one possibility.
That is wonderful, Hudson. It isn't damaged in any way, is it?
It's in perfect condition, exactly as it was when I lost it, right down to the detail of the paintwork. It is without a doubt my plate. Oh, welcome home, darling. You don't know how I've missed you.
Hudson seemingly let out all of her energy in one monstrous heave before hugging and kissing the plate in an over-exaggerated fashion. Tears of happiness filled her eyes. She couldn't have possibly looked any more jubilant.
If the hero who returned this ever comes to visit, I'll have to give them a big thank you. And some of my best tea, of course.
You really believe they're being a hero of justice?
Come now, Watson. Let her believe. She's happy, and that's all that matters.
Are you alright with the Spacey? It's only because you decided to revisit Mr. Howard that she got it back.
Whilst Watson was pouting, the door opened and a familiar voice could be heard from the other side of it.
Oh, what in God's name is going on here? I'd hoped to return from my trip to peace and quiet, not this kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle. Oh, Holmes, you're adorable. Hello, Holmes.
Look, Holmes! Someone found my regal Dalton plate for me!
I was not aware you lost it, but I'm not surprised. Losing things is what happens when you don't tidy up properly.
I'll have you know that I didn't lose it. It was stolen from me. And then Spacey...
Then Spa. See? I was like, then Spa.
Spacey tried as hard as she could to find it for me. Oh, and big news! I'm her assistant now. I swear to study especially hard to be a first-rate detective and become an even better assistant than Watson.
You've become Mrs. Whitley's assistant and intend to surpass Watson? What a very droll concept. She solves cases entirely by ear, reaching an answer by luck more than logic. She doesn't require an assistant. Having one would be a complete waste.
How could you say that?
Surpassing Watson as an assistant in itself is, well, that isn't particularly challenging.
Excuse me? I think we should be partners, and Holmes should just have to go it alone. You know what? We're switching assistants. I'm taking Watson, and you get to keep Hudson. Have fun with that, Holmes. He would jump out the fucking window.
Goals should be set high. To set them low to increase your chances of success is to mollycoddle yourself.
Oh, the old-timey language is fun in this game.
I see someone's got off on the wrong side of bed today. Say what you want, but you can hardly call yourself my assistant to begin with. You didn't even accompany me on my investigation. Well, we'll leave that matter aside for the present. More importantly...
You still haven't finished.
Miss Hudson, I regret to inform you that your plate of yours is not a... Ah, Holmes, stop!
Don't say any more.
I see no reason to shy from the truth. Listen well. The plate you adore is not a genuine Regal Dalton plate. It is a counterfeit. Oh, boy.
What? Have you gone mad?
Look at the mark on the reverse side. The lion's tail is split into two, correct?
That's right. That's what proves it's genuine.
Hudson showed off the mark to Holmes.
The Regal Dalton only has one tail. The plate you lost was false, as is the one you retrieved.
That can't be true. It can't be.
Still, there's good news. The cup and saucer you have at least are genuine. Look at the mark on the back of those.
But my prize plate, the one I boasted about so much. Did you know about this, Spacey? What about you, Watson?
Seeing Hudson stunned by the revelation was enough to make me feel a twinge of guilt. No, of course not. I've learned something new today. Right, Watson?
Absolutely. I had no idea. But who could when it's as pretty as an original...
couldn't be worse at lying if you tried. You're all awful.
Good, maybe she won't be my assistant now 'cause she's kind of irritating. Whatever this case entailed, I know that it was a complete farce.
An enjoyable farce it is then. Hudson has her plate back, and you've procured an adorable assistant. All's well that ends well.
You're so calm about all of this.
Be that as it may, I'm not letting her take my spot by your side.
That's an uncharacteristically childish statement from you.
I may be. I'm not behaving as childishly as you think, thankfully. Taking out your frustration on a young girl is absolutely juvenile.
Juvenile? What a grave misunderstanding we have on our hands. What I said earlier was for her own good. Humans need to experience setbacks early in their life, or they'll be unable to grow. Why, I'm of the belief that as soon as a child hits 3 years of age, they should be treated as an adult. If they aren't, they won't be anything more than a frail adult who loses heart at any old bit of claptrap. His words were short and blunt, and his expression sour. Oh, you have daddy issues. Marple, in comparison, looked much more weary.
I see your investigation in Edinburgh didn't go very well. And now you return and find yourself feeling left out, which is what prompted this. How right am I?
Congratulations on conjuring up a theory, Miss Marple. Now don't you think it's time you were leaving?
I shall leave when Spacey leaves.
Which is now. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. I enjoyed that little end bit. I enjoy our boyfriend and our girlfriend fighting, because I don't know if our ending with Marple is a romantic ending or just like best friends ending. I don't even care. I love her. She's great. But yeah, so anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.